Hi everyone, Drekkie here, and today we're comparing the Firefly 8 SE and the Eken V50 Pro. These are real 4K cameras based on the Sony IMX sensor and an Umbrella A12 processor. The Eken V50 is $65, whereas the Firefly 8 SE is $120. So we're going to look today at the differences between the two cameras, and hopefully this will help you decide if it's worthwhile to buy the more expensive camera. And I think it definitely is. Let's start with the build quality. In terms of build quality, they're not substantially different. The V50 is a little bit harder and more glossy of a plastic compared to the softer feel of the 8 SE, and that makes the V50 a little bit cheaper feeling. There are two major differences though, features that the 8 SE has that the V50 does not. The 8 SE has a tripod screw built into the camera body, whereas on the V50 you have to use an accessory to get that. As well, the 8 SE has a touchscreen, which makes it substantially easier to change settings. In terms of user interface, the V50 Pro is much more simplified than the 8 SE. However, the 8 SE is easier and faster to navigate because of the touchscreen. User interface is where you start to see more differences. The V50 Pro is much more simplified than the 8 SE. However, it takes longer to navigate due to the lack of touchscreen. The 8 SE has far more settings for things like sharpness, different video resolutions that the V50 Pro is just lacking. With the V50 Pro, there are far less ways to tweak the video quality compared to the 8 SE, and you are missing some important settings like microphone volume. 3, 2, 1. Now let's look at the video quality, and this is where the V50 Pro really starts to show its cheapness. The lens on the V50 Pro just doesn't cut it for real 4K. It would be acceptable in a 1080p 60 action camera, but compared to the 8 SE, there's significantly less detail overall. It might also have to do with the way that the video is compressed down from 12 megapixels to 4K resolution, but I suspect it's more due to a cheap lens than anything else. It's especially apparent when you look at the V50 up close, and then compare it to the 8 SE. Details like the tree branches and the grass are just lacking overall on the V50 Pro compared to what the 8 SE can do. And considering that this is very similar hardware, that difference is substantial. Neither camera features stabilization at 4K 30, so in order to get usable 4K video, I'd recommend a handheld gimbal, or only using the camera in situations where it's not super bumpy, like riding on smooth concrete here. Let's move down to 1080p 60 now, and I'll show you the difference between the unstabilized footage of the V50 Pro and the stabilized footage of the 8 SE. This is by far the biggest difference between the two cameras, and this is where I think it is worthwhile to get the 8 SE over the V50, just because the 8 SE features stabilization. So when we're riding on the concrete like this, the difference isn't too high, but let's take a look at it when we go onto the gravel and things start to get a little bit more shaky. Looking up close at the V50 Pro, you know, this is a pretty smooth trail, but when I go onto the side here, yeah, you can notice it wobbling. And let's take a look at the 8 SE now. Same thing, we're on this smooth trail, and let's go off to the side, and yeah, the shaking is just going to be so much less substantial. It makes video that much more usable. And in my opinion, it is worth paying twice as much for a camera with stabilization than it is for a cheap camera that doesn't feature it. If you have these cameras mounted to a drone, for example, the drone might have stabilization built in, and in that case, you know, it's not as necessary. The thing is that even if you are using a drone or a gimbal, the camera's built-in stabilization complements that. And any little shaking that the gimbal can't correct, the camera fixes. In terms of actual video quality, again, the Firefly 8 SE has more detail at 1080p 60 than the V50 Pro does. I think it's just a result of the lens, but there may be other factors in play. As I said, the way that the software is tweaked to downsample video from the higher resolution of the sensor to 1080p. The difference in detail between the V50 Pro and the 8 SE at 1080p is not as great as it is in 4K, but it's still there. The 8 SE just has a slight bit more detail, but it's not really noticeable unless you're watching them on a big screen. The other major difference between the two cameras is in audio quality. So the audio on the V50 Pro isn't too bad for a cheap action cam, but the 8 SE is just that much better. especially in situations like this where I have a lav mic installed. The 8SE picks up audio that the V50 Pro couldn't. The V50 Pro you'll hear all the wind noise, you'll hear the noise from yeah, all that garbage that you don't really want to hear. With the V50 Pro, you only get the camera's built-in mic. The microphone will pick up all the echoing from the bike shaking, from bumps, whereas the 8SE does a better job filtering that out with its on-camera mic. As well, you have the lav mic option that comes bundled in the box. Sort of like the 4K video, the still images from the 8SE are much clearer than the ones from the V50. And I think that's just a result of the lens again, but it could be a result of the way that they're processed. The 8SE also features a distortion correction mode, which the V50 does not have. So if you're not fond of that fisheye look, you can somewhat mitigate it with the 8SE. The V50 Pro, you're stuck. So in conclusion, in my opinion, it's definitely worth it to get the 8SE over the V50 Pro. The 8SE has image stabilization at 1080p 60, better 4K video, better still images, better audio quality, a touch screen, and in my opinion, you'll just be overall way happier with the results from that camera compared to the Eken V50 Pro. All that being said though, the V50 Pro is half the price of the 8SE, so it does have its place, especially if you're someone who doesn't care so much about image quality, you just want a camera that films video. You're going to be primarily using it at 1080p 60, and you might be worried about losing the camera, whether that's in the ocean or off a drone or something. In that case, the V50 Pro is an okay option. Let me know what you think of this comparison in the comments below, and as always, thank you for watching.